Hello again. This is Mr. Mayor with a couple more book chats about the Abe Lincoln List for you high school students. First book I'm going to talk about is called All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. And if you've read anything by her, you know that she loves kind of this magical realism, and this is no different. So this takes place in a small town in Colorado, and it follows the Soria family. And the Soria family all have the ability to perform unusual miracles. And at the heart of this family, there are three cousins longing to change the family's future as well as the small town's future. You've got Beatrice, the girl without feelings, who wants only to be free to examine her own thoughts and feelings. You've got Daniel, they call him the saint of Bicho Raro, who performs miracles for everyone but himself. He's never looking out for himself. And Joaquin, who spends his nights running a renegade radio station under the name Diablo Diablo. And they're all looking for a miracle. They're all wanting to get out of this small town. But when people come looking for miracles, they might get that miracle, but there's some things that go along with what they're wanting as well. So this one's got a little bit of mystery and a lot of kind of that magical realism fantasy aspect to it. Next book is called Black Enough, and this is a series of short stories. It's an anthology that talks about the daily struggles of Black teens across the country. All spectrum of backgrounds, from urban and rural, wealthy and poor, mixed race, immigrants, and more. This kind of shows what life's like about growing up Black in America from all aspects. Next book is Darius the Great is Okay. And this is about a kid named Darius who suffers from depression. He's bullied by the high school jocks, and his father just always seems to be disappointed in him. And he doesn't really fit in his American high school. So Darius is half Iranian, half American. His mother's side is Iranian. And when his grandfather dies, they visit Iran for the very first time. And when they get there, Darius is facing kind of the same thing he faced at his own high school. He doesn't really fit in. That is until he meets Sohrab, a Iranian boy that kind of shows him what life is like in Iran. And he develops this relationship with Sohrab. And this is just a great look about friendship, male friendship in high school. It deals with living with mental illness while also weaving together those issues of friendship and fitting in. Next book is called Devils Within, and this reminded me a lot of the movie American History X. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not, but it's about a kid named Nate, and Nate has been raised in the Fort, a notorious white supremacist compound, and his dad is the leader of it. So Nate was 8 the first time he stabbed someone. He was 11 when he earned his Red Laces, a prize for spilling blood for the cause. And he was 14 when he murdered his father in self-defense, which landed him in a treatment center while the state searched for the next of kin, what to do with him. So now he's sent to his uncle that he never knew existed, and his uncle really doesn't want anything to do with him. Nate just wants to disappear. So he enrolls in a new high school in a different town under a different name, so no one from the Fort can find him. And Nate struggles to find this new life. He wants to put the past behind him, but he still has those creeping thoughts of being raised the way he was. And he meets Brandon, a person the Fort kind of made Nate believe was, worse than him. He was Black, so he wasn't as worthy as Nate is. And some of those thoughts keep entering Nate's head, and he can't put them aside. And then somebody from the Fort maybe has a lead of where Nate is. So this is a story of, redemption, of new paths, trying to figure out what you believe. It's a lot of action, a little bit of intrigue. This one I really, really liked. Dress Codes for Small Towns is the next one. And it is about a girl named Billy McCaffrey, who is kind of a tomboy. She's the daughter of the town's preacher, and she's always struggled with fitting the mold of what everyone says she should be. She'd rather wear sweats and build furniture and just get into trouble with her solid group of friends. But when one of her friends, a girl in that group, confesses to Billy that she's in love with Woods, a boy in the group, Billy is filled with kind of this nagging sadness because she realizes that she's also in love with Woods and maybe with Janie Lee too, the girl in the group. Billy's always been considered kind of one of the guys, and Billy doesn't want a label to be slapped on her and her sexuality because she's trying to figure out who she likes and where she fits and, who she really is. So there's a lot of gray areas with her sexuality and what love is and gender. So it's about a girl trying to figure out herself, but also trying to live up to the expectations of her family and kind of the town around her, this small town. And then the last book I'm going to talk today about is probably one of my favorites from this list, Dry. Some of you may have read this. Same author of Scythe from last year, but this is about in California, they called it the tap out. This great drought happens and the state's entire water supply runs dry. And 16-year-old Alyssa and her little brother, ration their Gatorade and try to be optimistic, but that is until their parents have to leave to go to try to find water and they're left completely alone. And you've got people in the town going crazy looking for water, raiding Costco, trying to buy up and hoard as much water as they can find. They've got this neighbor, Kelton, who they've always kind of thought is crazy because he was one of those kind of doomsday preppers. But now Kelton might be a pretty good guy to have on your side because he's been preparing for this. So this is an adventure novel, kind of dystopian novel. And it's kind of scary because it could kind of reads like it's all too real. And by the time you're finished with this, you're going to be thinking, maybe I should have a few extra bottles of water that I'm keeping in my basement just in case. All right, I lied. The one more book, I don't have the book because it is checked out already, but it is called Heroine, Heroine, like the heroine of a novel. And it's about a girl named Mickey who her and her best friend are going into their senior year of high school, living a great life. They both are softball players. Mickey is the star catcher and her best friend Carolina is the pitcher, and everything's going great for them. But then the next moment, their car is upside down and in a field, and their promising softball careers are in danger. And Mickey is given opioid painkillers because she has to go through a couple surgeries with her back. And she gets hooked on the painkillers. And she keeps lying to herself, saying, I'm just going to take this one, and then it'll be finished. I don't really need them, but it's just going to make me feel better now. But then she starts lying, first to herself about her addiction. And then she starts lying to her family and her friends. And then she starts stealing. And you can see the cycle of where this is going. And she keeps telling herself, I'm not an addict. I'm not like a junkie like those people. But it becomes all too real. And this book is gripping. It's scary. Just how fast Mickey's life gets turned. So, it's not a very fun book to read, but it is a super good book that, like I said, it's kind of scary, but gripping at the same time. All of these are available at the library, so hopefully you can check them out.